Hello there, welcome to Whispers.exe, where the silence watches back. The following story is a work of fiction created for atmospheric and entertainment purposes. Before the shadows whisper your name, hit that subscribe button. With that being said, get comfortable, close your eyes, and let the dark settle in. It begins like most things do, quiet, unnoticed, and far too late to stop. The red SUV. There's a stretch of freeway outside La Cañada that locals don't like to talk about. They'll mention the traffic, the construction, the way fog tends to roll in after midnight like it has a key to the place. But they won't mention the red SUV. Not directly. They'll say things like, don't take the 210 after 11, or if someone flashes you from behind, just don't look. But you only hear that sort of thing if you're local. If you're new or passing through or just curious, you learn the hard way. My brother didn't believe in that sort of thing. Not ghosts, not omens, not energy. He was a mechanic by trade, logical to a fault. The kind of person who said things like coincidence or sunspot activity while staring at a melted phone charger with a cross burned into the vinyl beneath it. He didn't believe until he drove that stretch. It happened 2 years ago. He was heading back from a gig, some roadside breakdown near Glendora, and it was later than usual, maybe close to midnight. He said he didn't remember the exact time, which was strange. Strange for him, to time. But this night, he remembered only in fragments, the kind of remembering you do through a cracked windshield. He called me the next morning, said he was off and didn't want to talk about it. I didn't press, but he left his voicemail saved in my inbox. Hey, it's me. I'm fine. I think I'm fine. Car's scratched, but nothing serious. Look, I know this is weird, but did mom ever tell you about something on the 210, like a woman? Never mind. Just call me later. He never really went back to normal after that, and I don't think the red SUV was done with him either. See, it doesn't always start the night of. Sometimes it does. A flash in your rear view, an extra set of taillights that shouldn't be there. You think you're alone on a late night drive, and suddenly there's a high beam glare so bright it paints your dashboard red. And sometimes you see her, a woman, not quite in the driver's seat, more like pressed into it, face to the glass like it's holding her up, pale cheeks, wet hair, chin tilted ever so slightly like she's listening to something just outside the window. And her eyes closed, always closed. Even when the SUV jerks toward you, swerving into your lane, the woman never moves. Even when it's less than 5 feet from your bumper, even when your dash cam flickers into static and the radio turns to breathless silence, even when the vehicle vanishes. Most people dismiss it. They blame stress, they blame alcohol, they say they were tired or maybe dreaming. They always second guess themselves because the human brain hates gaps, and the red SUV leaves a lot of them. I started collecting stories a few months after my brother's call. Quietly, carefully, a thread here, a headline there, a Reddit post deleted 2 hours after it was made. The only thing they all agreed on, it never follows you past the overpass. One woman claimed it had driven her into the shoulder. She spun out near the Chevy Chase exit, totaled her Honda. Said she saw the SUV in her side mirror, driver's face crushed flat against the window like a moth against glass. When EMTs pulled her from the wreckage, there was no SUV, but the rear of her car was dented, deeply, curved inward like something had nudged it gently and then disappeared. She didn't speak after that, not to anyone. Her husband posted the story online. 3 days later, his account was deactivated. Sometimes I wonder if the story's always been there, buried beneath asphalt and exhaust. Not a ghost in the traditional sense, not cold spots or flickering lights, but something older, something born of trauma and momentum. A memory stuck on repeat in a highway's concrete ribs, something that waits. It's not always visible. Some nights, it's just a sound, a Doppler growl that passes when no car is near. Other times, it's the way your radio cuts out at the same overpass every time, no matter the station. My brother's car refused to drive that stretch again. Literally. It would stall near the on-ramp every time. He tried swapping the alternator, checking the fuel pump. Nothing helped. It ran fine everywhere else, so he sold it. 3 months later, the buyer died in a pileup, eastbound, just before the overpass. There was dash cam footage. Kind of. The file was corrupted, but the last visible frame, the one they pulled from his insurance archive, showed something odd in the corner, a glint of red. I drove that stretch last week. I told myself it was for research, for closure. But if I'm honest, I think I wanted to see her. I wanted to know if it was real, if the shape my brother couldn't stop sketching in margins was really out there. I left just after 11. The sky was ink and cloudless. The city behind me blinked soft amber through the haze. As I merged onto the 210, I felt watched, not by anything close, by something far, something ahead. The road was empty for a long time. Minutes stretched like wet wool, no music, no radio. Just the hum of tires on the faded lane markers and the occasional buzz of a streetlight struggling to stay lit. I passed a sign for La Cañada. Then the air shifted. That's the only way I can describe it, like the cabin pressure in my car changed. The sound of the engine dulled. My chest felt tighter. The hairs on my arms lifted like I was being charged with static. Then a light, far behind me. At first, I thought it was a motorcycle. Then it swelled. A pair of headlights, red-tinged, gaining. I checked the mirror. No license plate, no driver silhouette, just two burning eyes drawing closer. They didn't flicker. They didn't drift. They just stayed. And then they were right behind me, flooding my car in crimson. I didn't speed up. I don't know why. I just held the wheel tighter, knuckles bone white. My throat went dry. My mouth tasted like copper and ozone. And still, I didn't look back. The SUV stayed inches from my rear bumper, never tapping it, never swerving, just hovering there, close enough that I should have seen her. But the mirror was pitch, as if the light had shape, but the source didn't. Then came the sound, not the roar of an engine, not the whine of tires. It was a whisper, low, wet, repetitive, like someone breathing through the cracked window of a submerged car. And then, gone. Just like that. I blinked, and the lights were gone. The air normalized, the pressure lifted, the highway stretched ahead like nothing had happened. But my hands wouldn't let go of the wheel. I pulled over at the next exit, checked the back. Nothing, not even tire tracks behind me. But I did find something else, a smudge high up on the back window, the shape of a face, pressed flat against the glass. Eyes closed. When I got home, I checked the dash cam footage. It recorded all of it. Until 11:48, just before the SUV arrived. Then static. When the feed resumed, I was already pulled over, hands trembling. I haven't driven that way since, but some nights, when the wind picks up and my phone glitches out with a red-tinted glare, I swear I can hear her breathing. Some say she was looking for help, that she died with her family in the crash, crushed between steel and fire, and now roams the same loop forever, trying to warn others before it happens again. Others say she's something else, not a ghost, not a soul, just a shape made of trauma and repetition. A red SUV with no engine, a woman with no breath, a face with no future, always behind you, always just one overpass away. Somewhere I read that grief leaves echoes, that certain roads carry memory the same way water carries salt. You don't taste it at first, but it's there, saturating everything. I think the 210 eastbound is one of those places it doesn't want to forget. It makes you remember things you didn't live through. I started dreaming of her. Not every night. Just the ones where I left the blinds cracked, where the red wash of taillights from the street could seep in. I'd be somewhere else in the dream, sometimes in the passenger seat of a moving car, other times floating just behind the windshield, watching my own face drive in silence. The SUV would appear, not quickly, not with the jolt and flash of real life, but slowly, like a stain rising in water. I never saw the crash, just the moments before it, always before. In one dream, I looked over and saw her sitting in the passenger seat beside me, hair damp, face pale and bruised, but calm. Her hands were folded in her lap. She never spoke, but in the silence I could hear it, that breath again, low and syrupy, like lungs filled with river silt. I'd wake up gasping, mouth dry, ears ringing, and every time, the clock would read 11:48. That was the timestamp where my dashcam cut out. It started to feel less like a coincidence, more like a mark. I tried not to drive after dark, but life doesn't always allow that. So I avoided the 210, took side streets, let my ETA stretch another 15 minutes, and when I absolutely had to pass through, I did so with the windows up, the mirrors tilted, the stereo playing something calm and wordless. And still, sometimes I'd feel her. Not see, not hear, just feel, like static in the bone. Other people have felt her too. I know because I started leaving anonymous tip boxes on local forums, places where conspiracy theorists and insomniacs leave half-mad warnings in thread titles. I posted a simple question: has anyone seen the red SUV on the 210? The responses came slowly, then all at once. A trucker claimed to have watched it drift through another vehicle without slowing down. A cyclist swore she saw it parked under the overpass one night, engines silent, headlights off, windows fogged from the inside. One commenter, anonymous and now deleted, said they had seen the woman more than once. Her head turns, they wrote. Not every time, but when it does, she smiles. That stuck with me, because that smile doesn't feel like relief. It feels like recognition, as if she's not looking at you. She's looking for you. My brother started seeing her again, not on the road, in mirrors, windows, screens left on too long. He called me one night, frantic, whispering like someone might overhear. "She's inside," he said. I was shaving, looked down. When I looked back up, she was in the mirror. Not behind me, in the mirror, like her face was behind the glass. I turned. Nothing. But when I looked again, she was closer. He moved out of his apartment the next day, didn't tell the landlord, left food in the fridge, just packed a duffel and drove north. He wouldn't tell me where. I didn't blame him, but I worried she would follow. Because here's the thing, I don't think she's bound to that stretch of road anymore, if she ever was. I think the freeway was just the first place she got strong enough to be seen, and now she rides with us. In the glow of our taillights, in the cameras we use to watch ourselves sleep, in the dead zones between cell towers where the signal cuts out and the silence grows thick. I've started seeing her outside my apartment, reflected in puddles that shouldn't hold an image, cast in the corner of my television screen when it's off, always with her face to the glass, always with her eyes closed. But last night was different. I went for a drive. I don't know why. I just had to. The kind of pull you can't reason through, like a half-remembered song you hum without knowing the words. I found myself merging onto the 210 eastbound. It was late, the road empty, my hands shook, but I didn't turn around. The lights came sooner than before. Not behind me, ahead, like some distant flare low on the horizon. As I neared the overpass, I saw the red SUV parked on the shoulder. No other cars in sight. I slowed, rolled to a stop 100 feet back. It wasn't moving, just idling, like it had been waiting. The air was too still, no wind, no sound. Even my car's engine seemed muted. I unbuckled, stepped out. The asphalt was warm, too warm. I walked forward, slowly, one step at a time. The SUV didn't move, but the brake lights pulsed, dim, then bright, then dim again, like a heartbeat. I reached the driver's side window, looked. He was there, closer than ever. No glass between us. The window was rolled down. Her face turned, eyes still closed, but her head moved, tilting toward me. And then she smiled. Not a grin, not a snarl, just a soft curl of lips, like she knew me, like she'd been waiting to be recognized. Her eyes opened. They were black, not empty, full, like deep water with no surface. I couldn't move. I couldn't breathe. She raised one hand, palm open, a gesture not of threat, but invitation. And in that moment, I remembered something. A headline from 1997, a rollover on I-210 near La Cañada, a family of four, only one body never recovered. The driver, the mother, her door had been flung wide open, her seatbelt torn. She was never found. I think she didn't die there, not entirely. I think something caught her, held her between moments, between frames of footage, between the static and the silence. And now she exists only in that space, that breathless gap where headlights bloom and vanish. She's not lost, she's not hunting, she's remembering. And we are the mirror. When I blinked, the SUV was gone, just the shoulder and the dark and the buzz of a power line above. But something was left behind, a smear of red light on my skin, a humming in my chest, and a voice, not in my ears, but behind my eyes. Now you've seen me. She doesn't need the road anymore. She has us. So the next time you're driving late and the dash cam glitches and your radio cuts out mid note and a red glow stains the corner of your rear view, don't look back. Don't stop. Don't blink because her eyes are open now and she's watching. I haven't left the apartment in 4 days, not out of fear, not exactly. More like precaution, the kind you take when the air feels wrong, when even the hum of your refrigerator seems too quiet. The red smear on my skin faded, but sometimes when I walk past the mirror too quickly, I catch it again, just for a blink, high on my cheekbone as if something had pressed against the glass and left a mark. I covered every reflective surface in my apartment: TV, microwave door, bathroom mirror, even the silver edge of my toaster. It doesn't matter. She finds her way through. Last night I heard the whisper again, not from the hallway, not from outside. It came from inside the room, from the corner where the closet door hangs just slightly open, no matter how many times I close it. I sat on the bed for an hour, frozen, listening, trying not to move. It wasn't a voice, not really. More like a breath with a memory buried in it. Wet, gritty, the sound of lungs that had been quiet too long. And underneath it, something else. A rhythm. Faint. Too slow to be a heartbeat, too regular to be nothing. The next morning, I found a line of red dirt on the floor. A single line like the edge of a tire track, no footprints, no smell, just a curve of earth where there shouldn't be any. It led from the front door to the mirror I thought I had covered. The cloth was gone, folded neatly on the floor. The glass was fogged from the inside. I don't remember folding it. I don't remember uncovering the mirror. I don't remember sleeping at all. There's something about being seen by her, like she's inside your memory now, peeling back layers, changing the furniture in your dreams. I started finding other people, not online, not directly, but in the places you don't look unless you already believe. A support group, though no one calls it that, just a Thursday night meeting in the back room of a bookstore that's never open during the day. They talk in riddles, mostly. Some call her the passenger. Others say she's not one thing, but many, a collective haunting, the grief of every driver who died alone, a trauma echo that found a shape. There's one woman, Lena, who won't speak unless the lights are off. She says if you talk about the red SUV under fluorescence, it shows up in the parking lot. She says she saw it once reflected in a raindrop on her windshield. She didn't go home for 3 months. Someone else, Sam maybe, shared a theory that stuck with me. He said, she only shows up for people who've seen death but didn't touch it, people who've almost died, people who passed the turnoff but felt the curve. That night, I dreamed of the crash again, but I wasn't watching, I was in it. The world turned sideways, metal tore like fabric, my vision swam, and just before the windshield exploded inward, I looked over. She was in the passenger seat, smiling. No fear, no pain, just familiarity. And then I woke up, mouth open, screaming, but no sound came out. My phone buzzed once, a text with no contact, no timestamp, no reply option, just a single line, she remembers you. I threw the phone in the trash. Didn't matter, it buzzed again the next night, from inside the trash. Same message. I didn't sleep after that. There's something about her smile that gets under the skin. It's not malicious, not even unkind. It's the smile of someone who recognizes you, but you don't recognize them. And maybe you should. I started driving at Garrett trips. Middle of the day, always westbound, but something followed me home again. A parking ticket tucked under the wiper of my car from a city I haven't visited in years. Date stamped 3 days before I returned to driving. The citation number, 1148. I tried to trace it, called the city, they had no record. They asked if I was playing a prank. That night, the breathing started again. Not outside the closet, not in the mirror. This time, from under the bed. I don't look anymore, not in the rear view, not in the reflection of my phone. I tape over my webcam. I keep the lights low. I listen to static on the radio because silence is worse. But still, she finds a way. I passed by an accident on the freeway last week. Couldn't avoid it. Twisted steel, glass like sugar, the ambulance lights pulsing like an arrhythmic heart. I felt her before I saw her, felt the air pull in, felt my own breath pause, felt the quiet tighten like a rope around my throat. And then there she was, standing on the shoulder, not in the SUV, not pressed to glass, just standing, face tilted toward the wreck, eyes closed, hands at her sides, and behind her, no shadow, just tire marks in a circle like something spun once fast and vanished. No one else looked at her, not the officers, not the EMTs, not the other drivers creeping past in rubbernecking silence, only me. And she smiled again, that same knowing smile. She's not stuck anymore, she's choosing. And I think I know why she picks the ones she does. It's not random. It's not about death. It's about absence. Something missing in you, a crack she can slip through, grief, guilt, silence, something left unsaid in the car. Maybe that's all she is, a whisper between what we meant to say and what we never did. My brother called again last night. I hadn't heard from him in weeks. He didn't say hello. He didn't ask how I was. He just whispered, "She's driving now." Then the line went dead. I think I understand. She's not just the passenger anymore. She's in control. And the next time the red lights bloom behind you, the next time your rear view burns crimson and your breath fogs the mirror, don't pull over, don't stop, don't meet her eyes. Because once you see her, once she knows you, you don't need the 210 anymore. She'll find you wherever the silence settles, wherever the road grows too quiet, wherever the headlights flicker in the corner of your vision and the breath behind your ear doesn't belong to anyone, because she remembers you now. And she's always right behind you. There's a shape in my hallway at night. It doesn't move. It doesn't leave. It stands just beyond the edge of the light, where the glow from the bathroom fixture fades to gray. I tried filming it. Of course I did. But when I played the footage back, it was just static. Exactly 11 minutes and 48 seconds of it. Then black. No sound, no motion. But when I paused the playback, right at the final frame, I saw something. Just the curve of a window and a face. Not mine. Eyes closed, cheek to glass. I deleted the file, smashed the camera, but the shape remains. She doesn't need film. She doesn't need light. She exists in the gaps between frames, between moments, between breaths. I think she's getting closer, not physically, existentially. The line between her world and ours is thin now. So thin I hear her when I turn on the tap. So thin I see her reflection in liquids that should never hold one. Once I poured a glass of water and saw the surface ripple, not from my movement, but from the breath of something leaning just inches above it. She leaves things, sometimes. Traces, markers. I found a car key on my nightstand last week. Not mine, not my brother's. A worn plastic fob, cracked with age, red logo faded beyond recognition. It didn't unlock anything in my building, but when I held it in my palm, I heard her. Not a voice, a memory, a seatbelt unlatching, a child's voice calling from the backseat, glass shattering, then nothing. And underneath it all, the wet inhale of something that was never meant to breathe again. I dropped the key. Haven't touched it since, but it's still there, right where I left it. Waiting. I don't sleep anymore, not fully. Just drift in and out of awareness like a tide pulling my thoughts apart. And every time I start to slip under, she's there. Sometimes in the corner of the room, sometimes on the other side of the window, even when I live on the third floor. Once, I felt her behind me in the bed, her body cold, still, like a passenger waiting for the road to begin again. I turned my head just enough to see the outline of her hair on the pillow. She never touched me, just lay there, breathing. But the mattress was wet, like someone had pulled her from a river and laid her down beside me. I got up, I left the apartment, I drove. Didn't matter where, I just drove. And somewhere near Duarte, I saw it again. Headlights in the mirror, too close, too red. But this time, I didn't look, didn't flinch, didn't blink. I kept my eyes on the road ahead. I could feel her frustration, like static building in the seams of the car, like the weight of a stare trying to become real. But I didn't give her the moment, didn't give her the space. And eventually, she faded, or maybe she simply stepped back. That's the only thing I've learned. She doesn't like to be ignored. She needs your attention. She needs your fear. Without it, she's just a shape in the dark. But once you see her, once you look too long, she can follow. I started writing things down, dates, dreams, road signs, license plates, trying to make a pattern, trying to map the edges of her presence. But there's no shape to it, no logic, just recurrence. Every 11 days, something happens, a sighting, a breath, a smear on the glass, sometimes subtle, sometimes not. Always at night, always at 11:48. I tried to break the pattern. Traveled to a friend's cabin upstate, no phone, no mirrors, no roads for miles. I stayed awake for 3 days. On the fourth night, I slept. I dreamed of the overpass, the red lights, the turnoff that never ends, and in the distance, the sound of tires on gravel. When I woke up, there was mud on the floor, red clay, not from the woods, not from anywhere nearby. Just two footprints, coming in, none going out. She doesn't care where you go. S- Distance is irrelevant. She exists where you remember her, where you expect her. She's memory, not motion. And once you've seen her, that memory becomes a door. And doors don't stay shut forever. I called my brother again. I hadn't heard from him in months, didn't know if the number still worked. He answered, but it wasn't his voice. Not fully. It was slower, hollowed, like something else was speaking through him. She's tired, he said. She's looking for a driver. I asked where he was. He didn't answer, just whispered, I see the overpass every time I close my eyes. Then the line cut out. I don't know if he's still alive, or if he ever really was after that night. I see it now. The pattern. It's not about her, it's about us. She finds the ones who hold on to moments too long, people who replay things, conversations, accidents, things that can't be changed. She slips into the gaps we leave open, the questions we never answer, the glances we regret. She becomes the silence between what we did and what we should have done. And then she drives it. So if you feel her near, if you hear tires on asphalt when your street is empty, if your mirror fogs in a cold room, you don't need to be afraid, but you do need to forget. Forget the red SUV. Forget the pale face pressed to the window. Forget the way her eyes open. Because if you remember, if you hold on to it too long, you become the road she drives. And someday soon, when someone else glances into their rear view and sees a pale woman with her cheek against the glass, they'll be looking at you. And your eyes, they'll be closed. That's the part no one warns you about, not the sightings, not the dreams, not even the breath that fogs your mirror from the inside. It's the forgetting, the way she makes you need it. There are hours I can't account for anymore, stretches of time lost in the space between two blinks. I'll find myself staring out a window I don't remember walking to, a road playing in my mind that doesn't exist on any map. Sometimes it's raining, sometimes the sky is black and full, too full, like something just beneath it is breathing. And always, always, there's the hum, like tires on old pavement, like something circling a cul-de-sac that has no end. I've tried burning her out. Photographs, notes, every scrap of evidence I've collected since that first call from my brother. I lit it all in the fireplace, watched it curl and blacken. Ash drifted into the air like tired snow. But when I turned around, there it was, a single photo I'd never seen before. Me, in the driver's seat, eyes closed, and her, in the mirror behind me, smiling. I never took that picture. The light in the hallway flickers now, once, twice, every night, always at 11:48. Even if I unplug the lamp, even if I cut the power, even if I leave the building entirely, it still happens because she's not in the wires or the car or the dream. She's in me, and maybe she always was. I've started walking instead of driving. Doesn't help. I'll be on foot 5 miles from the nearest road and still the sound of rubber against pavement follows me, the smell of burnt brake pads, a flash of red light on tree bark that disappears when I turn. Once I passed a playground after dark, empty, swings swaying in wind that never touched me, and on the slide, just for a moment, the shape of a woman, not sitting, just resting, cheek against the cold metal, eyes closed. I didn't stop, didn't look back, but I felt her follow. Some part of her always follows. I've begun forgetting names. My mother's voice is getting harder to recall. My childhood bedroom fades more each day. But I remember her in every detail. And that's how I know it's working. She's pushing everything else out. The longer I hold on to her, the more space she takes. I think that's how she moves. Not across roads, but across people. Every driver she haunts is just a stop, a moment, an exit ramp. And every time we see her, every time we remember, we build the road a little farther. The I-2110 is just where she started. Now, she's in every reflection you've held too long, every silence you didn't break, every blink where your thoughts wandered too far behind you. I know because last night I stood in front of the bathroom mirror, looked into my own eyes, held the stare, waited, and for the first time, she didn't appear. But something changed. My reflection smiled, not with my mouth, not really, just subtly, like something inside me was pleased. And when I leaned in, when I pressed my cheek to the glass, slow and unblinking, it felt familiar. The cold, the silence, the weight behind the eyes. I stayed there a long time, breathing, waiting. And in that moment, I understood. She doesn't take you all at once, she invites you, one breath at a time, one backward glance, one sleepless night spent tracing shapes in headlights that aren't really there. And when you've filled enough of yourself with her, when the sound of tires on empty roads makes your pulse slow instead of race, when mirrors no longer feel like barriers, you stop being haunted and start becoming. It's not possession, it's not even death, it's just replacement. The world forgets you. One friend stops texting. A coworker fails to notice you weren't at your desk. Your name on the lease becomes a typo. Your reflection no longer returns. Your movements in sync. And the space she needs, she finds it in you. My phone hasn't rung in days, not because no one's calling, but because the ring doesn't sound anymore. I check the screen sometimes, just a soft red glow. No number, no name, just the outline of a road stretching endlessly east. I answered it once. The voice wasn't mine, wasn't hers either. Just a soft breath, repeating, "You remember too much." I don't know how much longer I'll be here, like this. I've stopped locking the door, stopped covering the mirrors. I don't see the point, because she's not waiting anymore. She's inside. And soon, she'll be me. So if you're listening to this, if you've heard the hum, felt the breath, seen the light, forget it. Delete the recording, throw out the map, smash the mirror, because the longer you hold on, the clearer she becomes. And if you see a red SUV tonight, if the lights flare behind you and the woman inside is pressed against the window, eyes shut, it might not be her anymore. It might be me. And my eyes, they're starting to open. I've started to see roads where they don't belong. Lines of pavement slicing through forests, yellow reflectors glowing faintly on the surface of rivers, guardrails running the length of my apartment hallway. I walked into the kitchen yesterday and the tile had turned to gravel, not underfoot, just in the reflection of the oven door. When I bent down to look closer, I saw my own feet standing in the middle of a freeway shoulder, dirt kicking up in slow spirals behind me, the curve of headlights cresting a hill in the distance. They weren't mine. I blinked, and the kitchen floor was just tile again. But the dust stayed in the air for a few seconds too long, and the sound of a distant engine didn't fade. It cut out, like someone ended the moment manually. I think time is thinning here, not just space. She doesn't move forward like we do. She circles, repeats, wears the grooves of memory until the track digs through the floor, and eventually you fall through. I'm remembering things I never lived. A dashboard covered in Polaroids, a voice in the back seat singing along to a song that hasn't existed in years, the sticky warmth of coffee spilled at 70 miles per hour during a left merge. These aren't dreams. They're events from a life that must have been lived by someone. Maybe her. Maybe someone she pulled too close. I think that's what happens in the end. You don't just vanish, you get filed away, pressed flat between the folds of her circuit. A single second on the I-2110, looping forever. I drove today. Didn't plan to. Didn't have a destination. I just woke up in the car, hands on the wheel, mouth dry, eyes heavy. The road beneath me unfamiliar but known, like deja vu with asphalt. A red tint bled across the windshield, though there was no sunset. Just cloud, low, thick, and unmoving. And in the rear view, nothing. No cars, no lights, no shape. But I knew she was there. She doesn't need to be seen anymore, just expected. So I didn't look back, didn't speak, didn't even breathe too deeply. The road narrowed, signs blinked out one by one, the air turned electric, and then a tunnel, one I've never seen before. Smooth walls, no lights, just black swallowing black. As I entered, the sound dropped out, not dimmed, vanished. No engine, no tires, no breath, just the hum of everything you're not supposed to remember. And at the far end of the tunnel, a single flash, a reflection. Myself, driving, but not here, not now. A different me. Older, maybe, hollow-eyed, with her in the seat beside me. Not pressed to the glass, just sitting, hands folded in her lap, eyes closed. Smiling. The tunnel ended and I was parked on the shoulder. No memory of stopping, no exit in sight, only a note on the passenger seat, no paper, no pen, just there. Written in that red glow script only memory understands. You are almost ready. I didn't take the note with me, didn't throw it away, didn't even touch it. I stepped out of the car. The air was warm, too warm, like the space between someone else's breath and your skin. The SUV sat behind me, farther than it should have been, closer than it ever really is. Lights off, engine silent, but something inside was moving. Not violently, not aggressively, just shifting, like someone adjusting in their seat, or remembering how to sit like a person again. I turned away, walked until the road gave way to dirt, then to dust, then to nothing. And still, somehow I made it home, or someplace wearing the shape of home. The windows look out onto roads now. No buildings, no sky, just lanes disappearing into the same curve of dark horizon. Every door opens to asphalt. Every mirror shows headlights approaching, and my reflection, it doesn't blink anymore. It just waits. She's not outside anymore, not behind the wheel, not pressed to the glass. She's through. And I feel her moving inside my thoughts, adjusting the furniture, closing the curtains, making it comfortable. I spoke her name aloud today. I don't know what I said, only that it tasted like warm metal. And the moment I did, every red light in the city turned green, all at once. No traffic, no motion, just green, glowing against the fog, like a signal or a permission. I know what's coming, and I'm not sure I mind anymore. Because this isn't fear now, it's relief. The end of waiting. She's been circling for so long, waiting for someone to stop watching, to stop flinching, to stop resisting the inevitable pull of the loop. And I'm tired, not of life, but of the pause, the space between one breath and the next, the endless moment of almost. She'll end that. She'll take the wheel. She'll drive the memory into the place where time no longer runs forward, but folds. And all I'll have to do is close my eyes. So if you're still listening, still remembering, do yourself a kindness. Forget her. Forget the hum. Forget the sound of tires on the edge of silence. Because once you know the shape of the red SUV in your mirror, once your eyes meet hers through glass that should never reflect you, there's no real road back. Only forward. Only deeper. Only her. The roads are quiet tonight, quieter than they've ever been. No wind, no birds, not even the far-off hum of a television through the wall. Just the steady, low rhythm of tires on a road I don't remember turning onto. I don't remember starting the car or putting my hands on the wheel. But here I am, driving. The city behind me has no lights anymore, no signs, no towers on the hills. Just a smear of color in the sky like the sun forgot how to rise. The lines on the pavement are wrong. They curve too early, loop in on themselves. Some sections have no markings at all. Others flash and ripple like heat mirages, though the air is still. The mirrors are all fogged from the inside. I don't wipe them. There's nothing behind me worth seeing anymore. A green sign appears ahead, glowing faintly, words unreadable, letters bending around the edges like they're trying to escape. The hum of the engine isn't coming from under the hood anymore. It's in my chest. Low, mechanical, predictable. And underneath it, soft, almost tender, is a breath that isn't mine. She's here. Not beside me, not behind, but through me, woven into the way my hands grip the wheel just a little too tightly, in the way my eyes don't blink unless the headlights flicker. She doesn't ride anymore. She guides. Each turn I take leads nowhere familiar, and yet I never hesitate. There are no wrong roads now, only forward, only further. I pass under an overpass. Cracks stretch across the concrete like veins under thin skin. Red moss clings to the supports. It pulses. I don't look up because I know what's there. A memory still clinging to the arch, her face tilted, watching, eyes closed, waiting for the last breath I'll never take again. I pass it. It doesn't vanish this time. It follows. Mirrored in the glass of every reflective surface I pass, storefront windows, rear view glints in other cars, puddles. I see her in all of them now, not in the SUV, not smiling, just present, a constant. She doesn't want to scare me anymore. She doesn't have to. I understand her now. I know what she was, what she is. Not death, not a ghost, not punishment or warning. She's a refuge, a home for those of us too afraid to stay in our own lives, a shelter for every unspoken thing. She comes when we're too tired to keep forgetting, too tired to keep trying to feel human again. And when we stop resisting, she opens the door. Somewhere along the shoulder, I see a figure, standing still, pale, hair wet, hands folded neatly. I slow. The brakes sigh like they know this spot. I open the passenger door. She doesn't move, but the moment the door opens, she's gone, not vanished, entered. The seat is damp. The smell of earth and ozone fills the cabin. I drive again, slower. The road softens beneath the tires. No more signs, no more exits. Just a stretch of gray ahead. And I realize there is no destination. The drive is the point, because out here, in this between space of breath and memory, there are no endings, only continuation, only the road. I look down at my hands. They don't shake anymore. They move on their own, calm. The hum deepens, a harmony, a second presence settling over mine like a shawl. And for the first time, I close my eyes. The car doesn't drift, the road doesn't curve, everything remains steady. And I know I've become part of it now. Another mile in her endless route, another face for the glass. So if you find yourself alone one night, on a stretch of road you don't recognize, if the headlights behind you are too red, too close, and you feel a breath from nowhere misting the inside of your mirror, don't stop. Don't pull over. You're already part of it. You've been driving this road longer than you remember, and if you see me through the haze in the SUV beside you, eyes closed, cheek to the glass, just keep going. It's safer that way, because I remember you now, and I'm smiling